Welcome to The Gavel. I'm Linda Akibe. This week's edition of The Gavel is pretty special to us. That's because the country celebrated Democracy Day during the week. And in honor of Democracy Day, we put together a report where we looked at the National Assembly in the last 2 years under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. How has the National Assembly fared in the last 2 years of this administration? And how has the relationship between the executive and the legislature deepened democracy in the last 2 years? Let's find out. The 7th Assembly began with a leadership tussle in the House of Representatives. Against the calculations of the ruling People's Democratic Party, Representative Aminu Tambuwal and his deputy Emeka Ihedioha emerged as the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. While in the Senate, David Mark emerged the President of the Senate unanimously for the third time, the longest in the nation's history. It's been 2 years of intrigues, controversies, and flexing of muscle between the executive and the legislature.
We came with a specific set of goals that we must be able to achieve, and we're on the way to achieving those goals that we set for ourselves. Firstly, we said that we're going to make a break from the normal process of budgeting that we have seen in this country, and that leads to non-implementation most of the time. That, of course, raised some problems between us and the executives, but today I think that Nigeria is better served now knowing that we no longer take for granted that you just do a budget and that you don't implement it, and then people just say it's business as usual, and the next year you do another budget. We have to take on the executive directly.
The past 2 years, federal lawmakers in both chambers conducted several high-profile investigations. Most memorable were investigations into the management of fuel subsidy, the BPE probe, the capital market probe, and the probe of pension administration, to name a few. After a public investigation into the management of fuel subsidy that was closely monitored by Nigerians, the House Committee presented a report that outlined endemic corruption, entrenched inefficiency, and a scheme which has been defrauding Nigerians for years. However, the credibility of the report was called to question following allegations of bribery against the chairman of the panel, Representative Farouk Lawan. The lawmaker was accused of receiving $620,000 from oil marketer Mr. Femi Otedola to clear his company of any wrongdoing in the fuel subsidy probe.
The truth will always prevail, and I think the security agencies are doing their work. In the fullness of time, they will come out with their position on the matter.
Nothing done in darkness. Anything done in darkness will always come out in lightness.
And that was not the only controversy in the National Assembly. The investigation into the collapse of the capital market saw the hunter become the hunted.
And I believe that if we want to carry out an investigation, and as you said, in the interest of Nigeria and not in your own interest, I should not be subjected to what you subjected me to because the SEC did not give you 5 million naira in cash on Tuesday, the 13th of March. It should not be. It should not be, Honorable Henry. And I'm sorry, because we need to start running this country differently.
I want to say firmly, just in support of what you have said, that issues of bias or corruption, the committee invited the EFCC. Are you here? And the ICPC.
Yes, EFCC is here. Honorable
Strong issues of corruption have been made against me. Strong issues of corruption have been made against the committee. So it is our hope that you will investigate me deeply and investigate the committee too. I give permission to that, and that is my ruling.
In the aftermath of the investigation into the collapse of the capital market, the House of Representatives took a resolution calling on the executive to remove the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Ms. Aruma Ote. but the executive has refused to implement that resolution and several other key resolutions reached by the National Assembly. This has often strained the relationship between both arms of government.
As a person who spent 12 years in Parliament, that Parliament will pass a resolution that a particular person is not qualified to hold an office, and even go further to deny that institution funds, and that the government will respond by allowing that person to remain in that office at the expense of national interest. I think it is absurd in democracy that the People's Parliament will pass a resolution against an individual. Whether it is right, wrong, rational or not, I would imagine that what ought to happen is that that individual must give in.
The strain is clearly seen in the face-off between the executive and the legislature over the 2013 budget.
All the time the problem is the executive doesn't seem to agree or to understand what the Constitution. The issue to appropriate money, the powers of the National Assembly. It is the powers of the National Assembly, not the power of the executive.